Hello and welcome to the Ally Invest Daily Service Show. Today on our show, our theme is how to read your balance screen in your Ally Invest account. Sean Kuhn and Scott Mikowski are here with us from the Ally Invest Customer Service Desk. Sean will start by highlighting the balance screen. With that mentioned, our viewers are the ultimate drivers of the content of this show. If you have any general questions about the platform, please start by putting them in the chat box right now on the right-hand side of the screen. I have to point out for privacy concerns that we can only answer general questions about the platform, and please do not put in any account information or contact information into the chat box for all to see. The goal of the show is to help out as much as we can in this open platform without compromising the security or safety of your accounts. All right, so with that said, if I look into the chat box right now, we already have a question. Basically, the question comes from Matt, and it says, what's up with the SIP program at Ally Invest? So I think, Sean, let's start by answering that question, and then we're going to jump back into how to read your balance screen.
Sure. Thanks, Brian, and thank you for that question. It's good to have Scott here as well as a guest.
Thank you.
So the SIP program is a program where you're able to lend your shares out so that you can earn extra money on your shares. Now, I'm going to help you navigate. I'll show you where to navigate. We have a great piece on the website that it's about a 3-minute video, which explains exactly what SIP is. So if you go first from the dashboard page, scroll down here, and we're in the test account. That's what you're seeing here. You'll see Securities Income Program. If you click here, there's an excellent 3-minute video. There's some important disclosures there for you to be aware of. Some of those disclosures include the voting rights for your stock, and also what's called substitute payments that you'll receive in lieu of your dividends. But the important thing to know here is the broad description for our questioner is SIP is a way for you to lend out shares you already own to earn extra money on those shares. And enrolling is as easy as coming over here to the consent to enroll. I hope that helps.
Right. And I want to also point out that I did put that link in the chat box. So you do have that ability if you just want to click on it and check it out later. But it's an interesting feature of all Ally Invest margin accounts. Okay, so with that said, let's we don't have any questions. Well, actually, we did just have one just pop up here. So let me grab this. This is from Doom Fluffy. So a little bit of a scary username, but there we go. We'll go with that. Other than a wash sale, what would cause realized gain loss to show as zero for a stock sold as a loss in a regular taxable account? All right, I'll read it one more time faster. Other than a wash sale, what would cause realized gain loss to show as zero for a stock sold as a loss in a regular taxable account? Now, with that said, we got to be very careful with tax questions overall, but Sean or Scott, anybody want to jump in on this one and try to help Doom Fluff out?
I can go ahead and give some information. Just like Brian was actually saying, it's it's something that we want to see the exact situation that you're running into. Could be something in regards to a reorganization, could be a variety of different things, but it's really something that you would probably need to contact us. We might even prompt you to actually speak with your tax professional in regards to it as well too, to see what's going on. But initially, give us a call and we can look at it, because it could be a variety of different issues. But I know with reorganizations that can often happen as well.
All right, so the phone number is in the chat box, and unfortunately we can't answer it directly without being able to see in your account. So you're going to have to call on that one. And I'd probably suggest calling as opposed to actually trying to use the chat box. A little bit more of a complex situation that may be going on in your account. All right, so we already got another question, Sean. So before we get back to that, do you have any more thoughts on the wash sale from Doom Fluffy, Sean?
So I think Scott's exactly right. Corporate actions are very common. And what he means by that is if that company has been taken over recently, or if it has a spin-off, for instance. So I would ask you to be patient for maybe a day or two after that sale's made You may see that it resolved itself, but that's what Scott means by corporate action. And that's all I wanted to add there, Brian.
Yeah, and sometimes even with splits as well too. If a company's doing a split, that's something as well.
All right. So there's a lot of little things, and without actually seeing inside your account, it's really hard to tell exactly which one of those is causing the situation. All right. So I do see another question in here, but I think you're going to have to set up an order, Sean. So here's the actual question from John. John is saying, new to Ally. Well, welcome, John. How do I adjust my stop limit? So that means you're going to have to try to enter a fake order on a stop. Now, first of all, I'll start. I'll let Sean. You want to go there, Sean? I'll let you set that up in the trading part of the Ally Invest Live platform.
Sure.
And I'll just kind of talk a little bit about a stop limit while you're doing that. Overall, if I'm doing a stop limit, a lot of times that means that it's a protection order. I own some shares of stock in my account, and I'm setting a price below the current market, saying that if the market comes down to that level, my order will then activate, and I'm going to send a limit order to the marketplace saying that I would like an execution at least this limit price. So it's usually done as a protection order, meaning that if the market does come down, I don't want to lose anymore. I don't want the cheese anymore. Just let me out of the trap type scenario. So that's usually where it's at. So do we have a stock in this test account, Sean?
Sure. Well, what I've got here is I have a test stock. We don't have any holdings in this position, but if we did own this NASDAQ test stock, what you do is go from trading to the trade ticket, select sell. And this is what Brian was mentioning as far as the stop limit. The stock is trading at $10.02. What you'd be doing is placing your stop somewhere below 10.02, and you can either type in the number directly, say 975, and we could put a limit here of 950. And what that means is the stock is trading at 10.02. If it goes below 975, your stop is triggered, and you will sell with a limit of 950 or better.
All right. And then I'll pass this over to Scott. Scott, why would you want your limit to be below your stop price?
Just to give a little bit of an opportunity in case there was a little bit of a drop. So for example, and normally I like to give a little bit of an extreme example. Let's say that you had a good till cancel order out here with a stop limit order, and there was some unfavorable news for a particular stock. And let's say that you have a stop limit, like Sean put up here, from 975 with the limit at 950. And let's say that the stock opens up at 960. So then what would happen is that stop would be triggered at 975. And you're basically saying at that, once I'm triggered on that particular stop, I want to try to sell it for at least 950. So in that particular situation, then it's still above 950. So you have a nice likelihood of still getting filled on that particular order. Now let's look at a more extreme example. Let's say that particular stock had some bad news in the morning, and let's say it opened up at $8. Your stop is gonna trigger at 975. It's underneath 950. That stock's actually you're not gonna be filled on that order. It triggered. That stock's gonna have to go back up to 950 in order for you to actually get filled on the bid. The bid's gonna have to be 950.
All right. And then with that said, Scott, so what if I wanted to get filled at 8? What type of order would that be?
If you wanted to get filled right away, then that would be a regular stop order. So a stop order is basically a stop market order. You don't have the limit in there. Stop order is basically saying if it hits that price, it gets triggered at that price or underneath. I just want to get the heck out, and I want to sell it at whatever it's trading at. So whether, for example, it's at 10.02 now, the stock opens up at $8, that you just want to get out of it, even if it's $8.
All right. Well, that's excellent. So that was a good summary of basically stop and stop limits. And as I mentioned before the question came in, that a lot of times these are used as protection orders on positions inside your account. some way to say that if that market is going down, I want to get out. I want to lose only a certain amount if plausible, and that you can do that using the stop limit or the stop order. All right, so at this time, we do have one other question in here, but I'd like to go back to Sean and say, Sean, let's talk a little balances here in the Ally Invest live trading platform. So I think we start that off a little bit, and then bring your questions, put them in the chat box, and we'll address them here shortly.
Thank you, Brian. So we'll go back here to the dashboard, upper left-hand corner. And this is our test account. Now, you don't see a whole lot here. What you need to do is check the drop-down menu right here for account balances. Now you've got some more information once you look at that drop-down. So we'll start here on the left, and we'll explain what these columns mean. So this account has no holdings in it. It's a test account with all cash of $49,000 and change. Now, it's a margin account. So that's why you see the money here on the margin line. Now, I skipped the money fund, but we do get some calls about this. What this means is money is moved from the margin account, into the money fund as trades settle. So oftentimes we'll have customers call us and say, why do I have some money in margin, some money in the money fund? In this case, trades have occurred. The trades have not settled yet. Settlement takes trade date plus 2 days for stocks, trade date plus 1 day for options. Then that money moves from the margin line here to the money fund. If we look at the middle column, Brian, you'll see, as I mentioned, there are no holdings in this account, but this would show you the value of the holdings you have, both stocks, long and short, as well as options. And again, I'll remind you, this account is all in cash. Now, if you look to the far right, the numbers look a little different. We know this account has a value of $49,000. How do we have a number of $98,000 here? Now, the reason for that is, since this is a margin account, you're able to buy additional stock with borrowed money. That's the definition of margin. And you'll see this $98,000 is exactly twice the $49,000 of cash that we have in the account. Another important distinction here is options are not marginable. So the option buying power here equals the exact amount of the cash in the account. Now there's one more number here that's even larger, and that's the day trading buying power number. So this is 4 times the amount of cash in the account. And that's the amount of money that you can use to day trade in the account. If you have margin, if you have over $25,000 in the account, and you are what's called a pattern day trader.
So with that said, what does pattern day trader mean, Sean? How does one become a pattern day trader? And will that feature be on my account no matter what?
Sure. That's a very good question, Brian. Okay. So pattern day trader is an industry term. Sometimes you'll hear it with the lingo of PDT. Now, pattern day trader is someone that has 4 day trades in a 5 business day period. And a day trade means buying and selling a stock on the same day, or selling and buying a stock on the same day. Once you've made your 4th trade, that triggers the pattern day trade designation. Now, there is one more important distinction there. To be a pattern day trader, you need to have $25,000 of equity in the account.
All right. So not necessarily is everybody going to be a pattern day trader. You literally have to day trade. That means you got to get in and out of positions very quickly in order to be termed or considered a pattern day trader and be able to use that day trading buying power. Any thoughts, other thoughts on that, Scott? Or do you run into a lot of pattern day traders on the trade desk, Scott?
We definitely do. And one thing to think about as well too is that it's not for 4 days worth of trading. It's the actual trade itself. So you could actually code yourself as being a pattern day trader all within the same day just by doing 4 day trades. And so it's not just each day that you have full, that you can do as many day trades as possible, and then the next day is another one. So that 4th day trade in that 5 rolling business day period is going to code you as a pattern day trader. And another thing as well too, something that we get a lot of calls on as well too, is with the day trade buying power figure, and where you can see it right now, it says 197,922. Let's say that showed 10,000. Remember that this gives you 4 times leverage for fully marginable positions. So if you're looking to do something non-marginable like an option, you have to take that into effect. If you're looking to do a day trade in an option, you're not going to have that whole 10,000. So it would actually give you a rejection, letting you know that you don't have that money available, because you have to divide it by 4. So if you have 10,000 that's available in terms of day trade buying power for options, you can only use 2,500 for day trading for that option. So something to think about.
All right, and it looks like we do have a couple option traders in here. So we got some great questions that came up. Okay, so I'm going to try to section them out. I'm going to start by asking the question that goes along with the balances. Okay, so Stang, I'm just going to do the short version of the username. What if I had stocks in my account? How does that impact my buying power? So let's start with that one, since that's on topic.
And I can take this. And so very, very good question. And so that's where it becomes a little bit more complicated, but we can go over a few situations. And then of course, if it's a unique situation, of course, call us, and then we can actually go through it as well too. But to let you know, if you hold positions, and let's say that you're a day trade buying power, you're a pattern day trade coded account. If you hold positions overnight, that's going to decrease what your day trade buying power is at that beginning of that next day, because that's when that day trade buying power is actually calculated. It's calculated in the morning based on the way positions look and what the holdings are from the previous day. So if you hold something overnight, that could impact what your day trade buying power is the next day. Now, because that's actually calculated at the beginning of the day, if you sell a particular position that's held overnight, that's not going to increase your day trade buying power. It's going to affect your other buying power figures that you can use for not day trading, but holding onto a position for more than the day and holding it overnight. But if you hold something overnight and you're looking to day trade using those funds, then you're only going to be able to use those funds for day trading that you actually see in the day trade buying power from that next morning from the previous day.
All right. So that solid answer overall. And so then John is here, and he's actually looking for some option tutorials. John, I will put a link in the chat box to a few of them. We have a few basic ones that I've done. I'm assuming that you directed that towards me, the options analyst here. So I do have a few tutorials inside the Ally Invest general community. Ally Do It Right is actually the website. So I'll put that in the chat box while we answer a few more questions. They're basic tutorials on option trading overall. All right. So then I'm going to go back and address Noel. And Noel he's trading on the website. And Noel's first question was, and I'm not quite sure if I've really experienced this, Noel, so this might be a tough one. We might have to call the trade desk, but I'm going to ask Sean and Scott. Maybe they've had some questions about this on the service desk overall. But why is there a long lag time once a transaction takes place before I'm able to do another transaction? I find it faster, Noel is saying, to close out and then reopen rather than wait for the window to reset. And I don't know if that's an internet thing or whatever, because I don't really have that experience. Do you have any people that have complaints of that, Sean or Scott, on the trade desk?
I actually I haven't run across that. I would encourage them to give a call in, because that's a unique experience that I haven't run into.
The same thing, you, Sean? Would you agree?
I agree. I have not encountered that either.
Other than the clearing of the cookies in cache, which actually does help quite a bit, and of course Chrome does work the best, but usually clearing cookies in cache on a regular basis is going to speed things up. But in terms of, yeah, that's something I would actually encourage you to call in.
Yeah, that's solid advice, though. And also the fact that usually the site is quicker on Chrome if you are trading on the actual website or on an actual PC or a Apple product. You want to go on out and actually clear your cookies and cache as much as possible and use Chrome whenever it is available. All right. So with that said, when will the app have real-time data, and when are you going to allow fractional shares? So I guess this is really a question about the mobile app in general. So do you know anything about the background in the mobile app, and is there a feature where the person could be turning on real-time quotes? And then do you have any background on fractional shares, when we might have that available?
Sure. So as far as, fractional shares, that's something we're always looking at, for our customers. I don't have a time frame for the fractionals. As far as the mobile is concerned, I would reiterate to folks that when you're actually placing your order, you're getting that trade ticket, you're getting a real-time quote at the point of order entry for mobile. As far as streaming quotes on mobile, I know that is something we're looking to roll out as well.
All right.
And if I can jump in there as well too, for the mobile users as well too, as a workaround as well too, and depending on your preference, you can also go in through the browser and you can actually access the website through your mobile browser as well too. So it might be good to take a look to see which one you prefer.
All right. So to go back to Noel, I guess you're going to have to give a call. We'll see if we can address the concerns. It is not an overall problem for all clients. So if we got the specific reason why or actions that you are doing, we might be able to help you a little better. And then I got one from Paul. So we're getting a few option questions here overall. So Paul asks, and I'll address this one to Scott to start. How do you calculate an options requirement beyond attempting to open a position and then the trade getting rejected, saying that the estimated trade value of this order is blank, doing some quick math? So overall, I guess it would be, how do you find what the requirement would be, I guess, on an advanced option trade, just to give a little fodder around it, maybe a short call spread or a short put spread. Two-legged option trade is where you would have an additional requirement above and beyond any costs that might happen when you're placing the trade. So I'll address it to Scott, and I'll let Sean jump in as he wants.
Sure. So yes. So with that, there's really a variety of different ways that question can go, because it could just be the requirement for that particular situation. Could be a situation, for example, what I said with the day trade buying power. That the requirement, it might be given a rejection there just because of not having enough buying power in terms of the day trading. For that, when you actually bring up the trade, if it brings you to the point where you can actually see the trade in the order in the readback screen, it is going to tell you what the requirement is at that particular time. If there's a particular situation, because it really does depend on whether you're looking at a credit spread, a debit spread, butterfly, whatever you're looking at, they're all going to have different requirements. If you're doing uncovered options, everything's going to be a different situation. So I know Brian has some links as well too that can talk about some of those as well too, and what those different strategies are. But if you're doing a particular trade and have a question in regards to the actual requirement, I would suggest giving us a call so that we can get the details as to what that trade is and how those requirements actually work. It's not really something that we can give a broad answer on. It depends on the situation.
Sean, do you want to add?
Well, sure. Scott is correct. We can give the folks, a couple rules of thumb, though. So if it's a debit, if they're doing a debit with their options, their requirement is going to be the debit. So if they're buying a call outright or buying a put outright, you want to look at your option buying power and look at the debit, calculate what you're paying. And for a simple spread where you're selling and buying, credit spread where you're selling a call and buying a call, what I would suggest is if you're looking for a quick requirement is take the difference in strike prices, multiply that by 100. That's going to be your requirement minus what you're receiving. But at least if you're looking for a quick rule of thumb, a debit, simply look at the debit. If it's a credit, look at the difference in strike prices minus what you're receiving in premium.
All right. And so with that said, I'm going to reference optionsplaybook.com, which is a book that I've authored. Inside the Options Playbook, if you're looking at requirements, it's going to be the maximum loss potential. And that's one thing to keep in mind. The requirement is there to try to protect the firm and yourself against whatever losses may occur. So inside the Options Playbook, we have a section that says maximum loss potential. And a lot of times that's going to be the requirement inside the account. And in some instances, you might have an additional requirement above a debit, if that's possible. And that's mainly because you're talking real advanced strategies, a lot of things where you have 3 or 4 legs in that trade. But if you're just doing straight out spreads, it's pretty straightforward. If you're paying a debit, that's going to be your maximum requirement. If you're receiving a credit, you're probably going to have an additional requirement above and beyond. And you can find that information at optionsplaybook.com. Overall, we summarize that for most of the strategies that are out there that most people trade overall.
And if I can add as well too, if you haven't actually looked at that website, even if you've traded options for quite some time, the site is fantastic. So definitely, even if you're familiar with options, definitely take a look at it. It's phenomenal.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to address Fire Mimp Spy. Give us a call, and basically we're going to take our comeuppance here. I've done this a few times. Wait times are in the multiple of hours. I don't know if that's necessarily 100% true, but we'll address it. And what is Ally doing to address this overall? So we have had some extended hold times overall. So I guess now is the time to let them know what we're doing. Who wants to take this one? I'll leave it up to you guys.
Sure, I can take that. And so yeah, and we do apologize for the hold time. So we are aware that there have been excessive hold times, and we do apologize. We are ramping up the hiring to get qualified people in to service our clients the best that we can. So that's actually something that we are doing at this time. So I believe that you're going to see that actually move in a positive direction.
Yeah, and I'll just add my 2 cents on that. Yeah, we're probably doing one of the biggest hires that we have since I've been at Ally overall, trying to address some of the service issues overall on the desk as far as the hold times, and just trying to service our client as best we can, trying to be an ally when it comes to your financial needs overall. All right, anything else on that one, Sean?
I would also encourage folks to look at our website. We're looking to make the website as self-service as possible. And if you hover over a number of these bubbles, hyperlinks, you'll see you may find the answer to the question you're looking for right on that website. And that's part of the reason we're here today, is to show you the locations of those links.
Right. That is a big reason why we're here. We're trying to alleviate some of those calls, some of the more simple calls overall that come into the trade desk day in and day out. Or I should say service desk, not necessarily a trade desk. Okay, so we have another new investor question. We're getting to the end of the show, but was there anything else that you really wanted to cover in the balances, Sean? Just want to make sure that you covered what you wanted to cover.
No, thank you, Brian. We can move on to the next question.
Okay, so now we have more of a general question about investing. And I'm going to actually highlight the digital conference, which you can find inside the Ally Invest YouTube channel. We're going to address a lot of these things that are in this question. And that conference is going to be on June 23rd, coming up here very shortly. And you can actually sign up, click subscribe, ring the bell, and you can get all the notifications for that event. But here's the question. Eric says, new investor, any tips, rules to follow about the portions of savings versus stocks versus funds? When to move money between savings and money market, given global market shifts like COVID effects overall, any other crises in general? And I don't know if we can actually answer that, because I think that would be about an hour-long seminar to get into in general. One of the things that is big and that we have actually addressed inside our community, a recent article that just came out, was about diversification. How to remain diversified inside your portfolio, and basically the 3 steps that are involved with that. I actually authored that article, and we actually have some YouTube videos that go around with it. So I'm going to search for that, and I'm going to try to put that into the chat box right now. I'll definitely do it before the end of the show. Is anything else to add, guys?
I would add that the conference is going to cover a number of those topics. It is a long answer to. Also, there is the ability, you have an Ally Invest account, there is the ability to link your Ally bank account as far as easily moving that money between your Invest account and your Ally bank account to get the most competitive rates on your savings.
All right. And then we do have a real good question that came in again from Stag, STANGG username. Can I use all my stocks as margin, or do some stocks have a higher margin requirement than others? I'll pass that one to Sean.
That's a great question, and the answer is no. You cannot use all of your stocks. And I'll give you an example. If you had if all of your portfolio was in penny stocks, and penny stocks meaning $2 or below, they would not be fully marginable. In other words, you wouldn't be able to borrow any money from those stocks. Again, a good rule of thumb, if it's a blue chip S&P stock, it's very likely that you'll be able to have margin buying power from those stocks. An example would be maybe any of the stocks in the Dow 30 stocks are likely to be fully marginable. If you have a biotech stock that has doubled in the last couple of days or weeks, it's very likely it's going to have a higher requirement. Could be anywhere from 30% all the way up to 100%. So the short answer is no, they're not all fully marginable, and it depends on the volatility of the stock and also the market cap of the stock.
All right.
If I could jump in there as well too, and that's where, for example, when you look at the balances section and you see, for example, option buying power, that's not necessarily just for options, but knowing that options are held at 100%. So that would be the same thing if you're buying a penny stock or a volatile stock that's held at 100%. Then in terms of buying power, you're going to be looking at that option buying power more rather than the stock buying power, which gives full leverage. So that'll help as well too. And at the same time, when you actually place the order to actually purchase, you're going to get a pop up, or you're going to get a notice that particular stock is held at a higher requirement. So you're gonna know ahead of time. So then you know to look more at that option buying power figure.
All right. Well, we got some great feedback inside the chat box. I did put in the Ally community. I put a link to it, ally.com/doitright. And then I also added the link to the digital conference. So you can actually click subscribe, ring the bell, get all that information. So that answered Eric's question. And we're getting a lot of thank yous overall. I guess we're coming to the end of this daily customer service show. Any other thoughts or concerns from Sean and Scott overall?
No, we had some great feedback today.
Yeah, and great questions.
Looking forward to next week.
All right, everyone. Okay, that's going to be it for this episode of the Ally Invest Daily Customer Service Show. Please make sure you click subscribe and ring the bell so you get all the notifications here for the daily customer service show. And I guess we'll just run with that right there. Thanks for coming, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks, Brian.